Good morning to everybody. So, I am academic counselor, Vignu. My name is Biswas. So today MMPC is usual to human resource management. So today we have to discuss the block 2. So block 2 we have to discuss. Block 2, there are sourcing of human resources. There are 4 to 7 units are there. So unit number 4 is your HR planning. Unit number 5 is your job analysis, design and evaluations. Unit 6, recruitment and the selection. And unit number 7 is your socialization and mobility. So it is also one of the important blocks. So today I will try to finish up all these units. So first try to understand the human resource planning. So in the human resource planning, in short, actually we are saying is the HRP. It may be defined as a strategy for acquisitions, utilization, development, and retention of the human resources of an enterprise. The objective is to provide right human resources for the right work and optimum utilization of the existing human resources. The major activities of the HRP includes the forecasting, inventorying, anticipating, then comparison of the present and future requirements and the plan. So planning is very important because in that stage you have to estimate the actual manpower, what type manpower is required, and different categories of the manpower has to be decided based on some of the survey by internal and external survey. Then planning department has to decide what level of people are required to cope up the present conditions and as well as for the future scope of the future purposes also. So what are the objectives? The following are the objectives of the human resource planning: assessing the manpower needs and plans for requirement and the selection, assessing skill requirement in the future, determining the training and development, anticipating surplus or shortage of staff. So, other way you can say this is significant from the planning. If you have a HRP planning, so these things are easily you can do it in the organizations. So you can assess the manpower, you can plan accordingly for recruitment purposes. So there are basic objectives are there. Apart from that, there are other objectives also that are controlling the wage and the salary cost, how much man cost is the per head cost you can derive from the per man cost, is a man-hour cost. Then you are ensuring the optimum utilization of the HR, helping the organizations to cope with the technological development and the modernizations, ensuring the career planning and making the succession programs, then ensuring the higher level productivity. So all can be possible through HRP. Now, what are the benefits? The benefits of the HRP, the proper HRP results into a number of benefits. Some of them are create a reservoir of talent, preparation for the future HR needs, promotion employees in a systematic manner, provide the basis for the HRD, and help in career and succession planning. Need for HRP at macro level, in a broad level in the organization, if we completely in the organizations. So that case, what is the need for HRP? Major reasons for the emphasis on HRP at macro level include employment and unemployment situation, technological changes, organizational changes, demographic changes, skill shortages, governmental influences, and legislative control. So all are is a beneficials, the benefit of the HRP. It means if we have a good HRP, so we can have a we can look after this matter very, and we can monitor also this area. So this is the area of emphasis. Now, impact of the pressure groups systems concept, lead time, or so how much you are ahead of this project or lagging or leading, everything can be identified. Especially in the implementation time, you can analyze this in better way. So some of the functional function of HLP is depending in various factors. Both external and the internal factors are there. So these factors can be considered as a determinant of the HLP. These all are the determinant of the HLP. There is one of the determinant is your external. If you consider the external factors, that is your government policies, corporate rule and regulation, what are the notifications, then your level of economic development, including the future supply of HRS, business environment, then level of the technology, international factors also because of the FDI, flow of FDI, foreign exchange rate, that also will the factor of the HRV functions. Internal factors are basically your policies and the strategies of the company, human resource policy in the company, then formal and the informal groups, job analysis, time horizons, type and the quality of the informations, company's productional operations policy, and trade unions. So all are your determinant of the HR. Now external factors, as we have seen, same thing that it is stipulated. Now it is in a same thing, government policies, levels of the economic development, then your business environment, level of technology, international factors, all of these. This now almost repeatedly. So now HIP is carried out at the different levels. So planning are, if we consider in the total organization point of view and units, so it is their national, sectoral, industry, and the unit. So altogether, everywhere the sum of the HRPR can be done. So in the national level, that is the HRP is successive 5 years plan. Normally in the government sector, planning are normally the 5 years. And sectoral levels, basically sector, industrial sector, agricultural sector, electricity sector, the power sector. So there are different sectors are there. So that level also planning is there. Then industry levels, unit levels also. There's a plant is there, different factories, factory 1, factory 2, plant 1, plant 2, plant 3. So every plant have a different uh, HR. Then department level also finance and your HR, marketing. So departmental level is also different planning will be there. Divisional levels, all the levels are uh, different planning. Now HR planning process. Now we are talking about another different process. Assessing the human resources is then your demand forecasting, then supply forecasting. Sorry. Then supply forecasting, then matching demand and supply. That is the balancing the things so that it can be matched. Then your action plan. So it's all about the HR planning process. So some of the focus area in the process, that's what some of the steps are there. So now first thing, a talent inventory to assess the current human resources and to analyze how they can be used current means optimum utilizations of the present resources. What are the resources you have? So that has to be utilized depending on the inventory, how much the inventory is. So first things you have to assess the inventory and then resources can be allocated. HR forecast to predict future HR requirements, skills required and the labor supply. Then your action plans to enlarge the pool of people qualified to fill the vacancies. Through various methods, review and the monitoring to provide feedback on the overall effectiveness of HR. So these all are the action plan and different steps. Major stages of the HR. So assuming the operational plans, the human resource demand forecasting, your first is your analyzing the operational plan, then human resource demand forecasting, then demand forecast. In this demand forecast, again the forecast of the estimating future quantity and the quality of the human resource required. Then manpower gap, that is depending on the requirement, existing surplus, human sources and the desired skills. If not found the shortage, so this is the way to plan it. Supply forecast is the basing on the existing HR inventory and the demand forecast. The supply forecast of the human resources is carried out in an organization. In subsequent sections, these steps are we have to discuss different steps can be discussed. So there are two approaches in the HR demand forecasting. One is the quantitative and another is the qualitative. So quantitative approaches are basically in this approach to forecast the involve the use of the statistical and the mathematical techniques. What are the tools and tackles are utilizing? What are the trend analyzing modeling or the multiple predictive techniques are some of the quantitative techniques they used. So steps. So what are the present trends going on? The trend analysis. So there are various steps of this. So first of all, select an appropriate business factor. This should be best available predictor of the human resource needs. Second is your plot a historical trend of the business sector, the relation of the number of employees. And third is you compare the productivity ratio for at least the past 5 years. And then fourth steps are calculate the human resource demand by dividing the business factor by the productivity ratio. So different steps are there for analysis purpose. However, nowadays the software is available. Through this software, if we have a database, then different software can be give the outputs of the results. And finally, the project human resources demand out to the targeted year, particular year. That figure, it can figure it out. After the completion of the steps, you can give uh, the analysis, the result of the analysis. Here, some of the multiple prediction techniques are there, modeling, or the multiple prediction techniques are there. So there is a qualitative approaches, there are the expert forecasts, then your Delphi techniques, then your workforce analysis, workload analysis, job analysis. There are so many prediction techniques are there. There are normally two sources of supply. One is your internal and your external. Human resource gap analysis is important, where the supply and demand ratio can be identified. Because this is very important, because then it will be imbalance, because maybe the chances of surplus or chances of wastage will be there. So gap analysis is very important. So exact figure can be identified. Now responsibilities of the human resource department is respect of the HR plan. Then assist and the council operating managers to plan and set the objectives, collect and summarize the manpower data, keeping long run objectives and broad organizational interest in mind. So keeping in mind, so you have to collect and summarize the manpower. Then monitor and measure the performance against the plan and keep top management informed about it. So monitoring is very important. At the same time, you have to keep on informed to the management also what is the things are going on, so that the management involvement is also required. Their interventions are very much important. Provide the proper research base for the effective manpower and organizational planning. So these some statistical data and some of the scientific research methodology is required to identify the things. Then it will be the planning, the successful. That the result will be good. The main problems in the process of the HIT are as follows. Now you see, in anything, when you are deriving something or you are in a conclusion stage, so definitely some sort of error, some of the things will be there. It is unavoidable. Means the problems are there, but some of the things you can identify. Which are the main problems? Inaccuracy. Because you see, the HRPs entirely depend on the HR forecasting and the supply. So if the HR is forecasting and supply, definitely it is based on the available data, which have fetched the data by the acquisition process, through the inquiry, through this survey. So if the data is not correct, there are impurities there, then it will be inaccurate problem. So it will be, result will also be, it is not a correctly errorless. So error will be inbuilt. So inaccuracy is one of the problems. Then employee resistance is another aspect, because employees are there, unions are there, they feel that by HRP their workload increases, so they resist the process. So it is quite happened most of the times. The awareness, the employee awareness are required through the unions are visible. Otherwise, so so before implementing the thing in during the process itself, so involvement of the union is also important. So that they should be aware, they should understand, they should knowledge enough what is going on in within the company. Then otherwise, they will be registered because that's one of the area, the problematic area, employee resistance. Uncertainties. This is also one of the aspects because labor absenteeisms, labor turnover, then your seasonal employment, technological changes, and the market fluctuation are the uncertainties because labor demand are some of the labors are seasonals, maybe the contractual labors are there, labor absenteeism which is sometimes beyond control. Climate is also one of the effects. So all these factors are influencing for this, and nevertheless, your market fluctuation is also there. Inefficient information systems. So information system is also MIS. Actually the managing information system should be good. You should have a robust and very reliable information system should be there. If the information system is not good, it is insufficient, inefficient, rather, so then it will create a problem. In Indian industries, HRS is less because most of the now it has almost big multinational companies they have a HRI human resource information systems are there, but still lot of industries in the small scale industries they don't have the HIRS. So time and expense, that is also important factors because it is a time consuming because first you have to collect the data internally, externally, prepare the things, prepare the modules, then your observations you have to put up in the analysis part, then finally it will be approved by the management and then go for make a team for this and action plan. So this is a really time expense and is the very expenses also. So this is one of the your problem area. Now guidelines for the effective human resource planning. So now guideline for the effective human resource planning. There are a few guidelines to improve effectiveness of HRP process are as below. Tailor-made. HRP should be balanced with the corporate objectives. Means when you are preparing the HRP or you are forecasting, notifying the everything, that should be aligned with the corporate objectives. So that it should be balanced. So HRP objectives are nothing but it should be in parallel of your corporate, the organizational objectives. Appropriate time. The period of HRP process should be appropriate to the needs and the circumstances of an organization. So timing is one of the important. What time should be required and how many period of the durations. This is also really important. Now, adequate organizations. HRP process to be adequately organized. Then your top management support. As I say, that without top management support, any planning cannot be fulfilled. So before starting the HRP process, the support and the commitment of top management should be ensured. And rather I can say another way, before going to HRD process, some approval has to be obtained. Then only will be obtained from top management. Participations. HRD will be successful if all and organizations are participating. So participation is one of the important from the employer side, from the employee side, and even from the trade union sides. Some representatives, good representatives, positive approach type representatives should be there. So participation is really important. Information systems, yes, should be adequate database should be developed for facilitating the HRP. So it can be developed without information systems cannot develop. So robust and very reliable communication system should be there. And the IT technology, latest state of the art technology should be there. Computerizations, what about the computers? That should be all the latest version. So then all this type of facilities are there. Then only we can say strong information systems. Balanced focus, quality and the quantity and the quality should be stressed in a balanced manner. So it should not be compromised something or some benchmark should be there so that it can be balanced focus and cannot compromise some of the quality point of view. So that should not be very overstressed. That part is also to be seen. So some balance should be there. Now objectives of the job analysis. Now I come to the analysis part, job analysis. Job analysis can be put in like this. Indicate the training needs, put together work group of teams, provide the information to conduct the salary service, provide a basis of determining a selection plan, provide a basis for putting that together recruitment. It means job analysis are basically, we can say it is one of the box where you can take it out or as per your requirement, how training required or not, whom to be trained. So that training needs you can pick up from there. Suppose the job analysis is on the box is there, all our collective data is there. So from there you can, for your purposes, for the training and department purposes, they can take their portions. That data they can take. Work group and the team, they can also utilize this data, same database with the job and after the analysis. Means job analysis basically the process where you can get everything. Information to conduct the salary survey. So that also to be provided there, how many employees are there, what type of salary they are getting, or in the future, how many manpower is required and what type of salary should be there. So everything are as an information basis are there. Where? In the job analysis process. So provide a basis for the determining of the selection plan. Provide a basis of putting. So all these things from the job analysis we can get. Or rather I can say the job analysis can be provides all these things. So these are some of the features. Objectives of the job analysis. What are the objectives? Describe the physical needs of the various positions of the determine the validity of the discrimination complaints. It will be collected from the different departmental heads. They have to give their requisitions based on this. As input for the organizational analysis, all are what are the database or informations in the job analysis part that can be utilized for the as an input for the organizational analysis purposes. And again, this is the same database. It again is the input for the strategic plan. Suppose you are different planning, strategic plan. Again, the same data can basically the data manipulations or whatever the collected data by different way, by survey, all these things. It's now put it in the job analysis box, and from there, as per your desire, as per your specific purposes, we are utilizing for human resources purposes, training and development purposes, strategic purposes, organizational purposes, every purposes, same data are utilized as a basis of coordinating the safety purposes also. So now it should be collect information on the following areas. So which are the area are to be defined? The scope of, or other you can say the scope of job analysis, duties and the tasks, information on the performance of specific tasks and the duties. Then environmental has a significant impact on physical requirements to be able to perform the job, because environment is also very important. It may be cultural climate or where the physically the infrastructures, where the employees are sitting there, their conditions are good or not, even in the lighting, everything is part of your environment. Then the idea is tools and equipments. These items are mentioned. Job analysis, which are the required to perform the certain tasks and the duties, such as the protective clothing. Then your relationships, supervision given and received, that relationships. Then your requirements, knowledge, skills and abilities required to perform this KSA. In short, KSA, there is a knowledge, skills and abilities that also you can achieve from, or you can obtain from the job analysis. Now the techniques. So a lot of techniques are now here we are talking about job analysis, okay. But for collecting the data, how to obtain? So definitely there should be techniques. So information about the jobs can be collected by means of questionnaires and some interviews. So questionnaires actually there are some structured questions should be there, and maybe some unstructured question also to be there. These all are maybe scaling systems, very good or strong, very strong. This is the way that can be scaled as per the record skill, or what are the way you can prepare. The questionnaire should be prepared. So basic information, there is job title of the job holders. So what is the position, job title should be there. And the number of staff reporting to the job holders, that is also to be there. Again, brief description of the overall role of the purpose of the job, the list of main tasks or the duties that the job holders has to carry out. So in the questionnaires should be planned questions should be there, and the questions should be relevant to the particular these purposes, because the idea is to collect the data. Then another process is your interview purposes. Through this interview, we can collect the data. To obtain the full flavor of a job, it is usually necessary to interview job holders. The aim of the interview is to obtain all the relevant facts about the job as listed in the section, the questions and the questionnaires. So somebody has to ask, and the job holders need to reply on this thing. This is, and that should be recorded. To achieve this aim, a job analysis should uh, what are the aims? There is a what to a logical sequence of questions which help the interviewee to order his or her thoughts about the job. So, by the question and sessions, based on the planned questions and what are the answers coming, that should be recorded, and so that some concrete idea about the things. So it should be pinpointed. Basically, this is pinpoint the people what they actually doing based on their voice, or it can be in the written forms. So ensure that the job holder is not allowed to get away with or the inflated descriptions of his or her work. So that has to be ensured that whatever he has written or whatever he is saying are same, means some sort of your vivacity, because what you have written and what you are saying, that should be somewhere, some reality should be there, some assessment what you can do. Obtain a statement from the job. Some statement has to the authority to make decisions in the amount of guidance received from his or her supervisors. So some sort of statement also can be preserved for that, and in turns it will be for the job analysis part, can be input for a job analysis part. Now job descriptions and the job specifications. Now job analysis part is over, because they are basically the process and collecting the data, all the information should be in there, and depending on the situations, different purposes, that data can be utilized for strategic purposes, for organizational planning purposes, so many other purposes can be utilized, because data is on, that's already collected. So there is the analysis part is there, and that is a different format, everything are available. Now job descriptions. Now job description will be different. Now sometimes it will be confused. Job analysis, job description, job specifications. It is not actually same thing. It is a difference. So that is the first job analysis. Then based on these informations, you can prepare the job descriptions, and even in the specification also. But from the without job analysis, you cannot prepare the descriptions and the specification as such. So analysis should be fast. So job description is prepared on the basis of data collected through the job analysis. So it is rightly said. So job description can be possible. You can only prepare when your database are collected. With job analysis part is over. Then the action next steps for your description. So job description is a functional descriptions on the contents of the job entries, because where the person's job holders, with the employee, what he has to do it. That description is given based on his role and positions. He has to do this type of activities, this type of tasks he has to fulfill. So from the job analysis and the job descriptions, so a job specifications may be derived. So I just repeat once again, from the job analysis and job description, now you can prepare the specifications. So these things are to be cleared in the mind. The concept has to be clear. So which is a statement of the skills, knowledge, other personal attributes required to carry out the job. So this is the specification. You have to specify the things. To do these jobs or do this post, you should have these qualifications, you should be MBA, you should be 5 years experience. So all these things are required to carry out the job. Now some of the uses are for example, the recruitment and selections, training, job evaluations, performance appraisals, organizational planning. So all are the uses purposes. Now job design. It is a process of deciding on the contents of the job, because within the job there should be contents, and what the duties and the responsibility, that should be fixed, that should be written. You have to come in every day in the office from 9 to 5:30 up to working time. Saturday, Sunday is off. Lunch break is half an hour lunch breaks from 1 to 1:30. And this much leave you can avail. So, and the end of the day, the duties, then you have to give away all these receipts in the computer itself, and the next day. So many you have to report to the supervisors at the end of the day, and you have to make some cut. So all these things, the contents, within the contents should be there. What are the duties and the responsibilities are to be defined. So it's a part of the design. The job designing techniques can be divided into two categories based on the individual employee and as a group employees. Because sometimes as an individual, I have to perform this task. It is a fixed. And within the department you are working, your colleagues, there are so many groups are there. Similar type of job they are doing also as a team. So there also has to be fixed. So job rotations, another thing. So it is implied the shifting of an employee from one job to another within the working group is important, so that they can knowledge, they can idea what other things are. So this is where actually it decrease the monotony and the boredom, because same type of job if you do it, then maybe you will feel boring. So to boredom, to reduce the boredom, so this job reduction is required. Then by the time, at the same time, you can learn also the new things. It may be required for your multitasking purposes. So job rotation is good practice. Job enlargement. So it refers to the process of increasing the scope of particular job by adding more tasks and duties. So to enlarge it, or just scope as a increase it. So adding more tasks. So that is the and your enrichment is a procedure also. That is increasing the responsibilities. One is your job has been, the duties are enlarged. That is enlargement, job enlargement. A job enrichment means your responsibility has been increased. There are two things. So enlargement is job related, enrichment is the responsibility related. So allowing the employees to set their own standards and performance. Now providing your autonomy for the employees. So you have to give some of the autonomy to do this, to execute the job in some sort of freedoms. Encouraging the employees to motivate the things, and they should learn the new techniques as early as possible, and review the results after that, how far they are improved. Empowering the individuals in the so that they can take the critical decisions, all these things. The role of the responsibilities of the HR managers. So what are the roles? It aims at measuring the value of the job descriptions. Then it is the process of analysis and assessment. The analysis of the assessment of the contents of the job according to the international labor law. They are saying job evaluations is an attempt to determine and to compare the demands which the normal performance of the particular job makers in the normal workplace. Now, recruitment is the process of identifying the prospective employees, stimulating and encouraging them to apply for a particular job or the jobs in the organizations. It is a positive action as it involves inviting the people to apply. The purpose is to have an inventory of eligible persons from among the proper selections of the most suitable persons can be made. These are all of the quotations. So the definition of the recruitment basically and the process. So what are the factors which are affecting the recruitment? Geographical factors one of the things, because the different locations the employment are there, people are working different locations. That is one of the for the recruiting purpose problems. Then past recruiting process affects policies of the organizations like promotions. So policies are also a factor. Then your compensations and the benefits package, which may not be at par with the market rate. So it will influence in the organizations. If the compensation package is good, attractive, then number of applications will be more. It will influence. If the package is good, not good, compensation package is not good, there is no benefit at all. So then number of applications on good quality manpower you cannot hire. So so many factors are there which are to be considered. So method of the recruiting can be put into three categories. There are three categories. There are direct methods, there are indirect methods, and the third party methods. Selection procedures process are there. These are very common things, but most of the organizations are following. Most suitable candidate ultimately you have to, those who are really interested in particular that candidate, and you have to select in such a process. And during the process, you are selecting the best and rejecting the rest. So right man, idea is the right man for the right job is the basic principle of business. It is a slogan. The HRM, this is one of the slogan. That is the right man for the right job. The principle of the selection, there are so many things, there's a lot of tests are there. The proper assessment, objective assessment, uniform basis, selection of the better persons, labor turnover reduced. So these are all of the different tools, different tests is there. So this test way you can identify how much it is significant. So one of the successive hurdles are given, how to selection process are there. Because initially you see there are 500, 600 applications there. First thing you see in the lower, where the your things are there. In the primary interview, so that's initial stages. Then the application forms you see in the bottom there are rejections. Means their application will be rejected. Lot of application will be rejected. It does not fulfill the then balance. What are the eligible applications? Then they go for the second interview process. So initially it is now rejected lot of application fine. Then after that some test is going on. So in the testings, then finally as a work history, and step by step. And every stages you see there are some rejections are there. And now finally maybe initially the 500, now in the last maybe around 15 or 15 candidates are there. They are interviewed by the supervisor and give the selection letters. So the final they selected and not reject, and the rejected part are these things. So this is the process, selection process is given. Now, applicant who get over the more primarily hurdles and sent for a physical examinations. The rule is there, physical examinations there, especially in the government sectors. Then purposes, the physical examination is required. Somewhere is required your the factory, hardship work is there. So you require the fitness of the candidate have to be judged. Then it existing any disabilities are there or not, that should be recorded and helpful later. So a compensation claim are there if it is discovered existing disabilities. So that type of provisions are there. So it helps in preventing the employee to those suffering from some of the type of categories disease. So to prevent the things. So it helps in placing the those who are otherwise employable, but those physically handicapped may necessitate assignment only to fill some specific jobs can be they can allot for these things. So contents of physical examinations, and that is some of the applicant medical history, then your physical measurements, height, etc. There's some medical part is there. There's everything you have to see. Weight of also there, BP, any diseases are there or not, chest, lungs, everything. Especially in the army, everything are required. So that and even nowadays, X-ray, the COVID-19 test are also some neuro psychiatric test is also there. Your how much you are talented and your mental ability test. All these things are there. So reference check is also important because when in the time of applications you're giving the references in earlier company, how what the way your behaviors and what you have performed, that information are required before release the appointment letter. That has to be as a HR manager, he has to ensure yes, candidate is name earlier previous experience is also good and previous organizations also give a recommendations. So that is also socialization is important when the employer joining the company. So they have to socialize the things so that the sense of the company's physical workplace, social dynamics, the culture environment, they should approach terms. The value, the development, the new roles, how to behave, or what are the identities, job preferences, and what are the team norms and the rule and regulation, what are the practices. So everything are should be aware of these things. So that's why everywhere is a training period is there, provision periods, basically that time is socialization period we can say it. The student, the employees are trained that day, learning process are going on. And then when you have reached confidence levels, then you can start these jobs. So however it is the most intense, move across the organizational boundaries, such as when the first join the company, so or get transferred to an international assignment is another aspect. You have to train accordingly so that you can work very nicely. So some of the formal status are there, informal status is also there. But during the socialization process, so that everything are to be discussed and focus on these things. So desire of the status of the strong motivation forcing among the people at the work. Then some induction programs should be there. induction, the process through which the new employees is introduced to the organizations. It's the process of the welcoming the individuals, and any neglecting the area of the inductions and orientation may lead to a high labor turnover because the employee will not be happy. They will be confused and leave the organizations. So that's why the very good induction program should be there, so that the employee can be retained and they can feel happy. So induction program, a good induction program should be covered the following. The company is that's good history should be there. What type of product they are launching, process of the productions, the major operations involved in the jobs, the significance of the job. So, and the structure of the organizations, everything has to be functionality, everything has to be provided during the induction programs. Or it is better if we circulate some of the toolkits. Basically, most of the multinational companies, they are giving some booklets as in the joining time, because the booklets itself, there are everything are written. What is the vision of the company? What is the vision of the company? What are the objectives of this company? What are the product they are doing? So that program is going on. At the same time, you have the kits or some of the documents. You can go through this. Then the employee will be happy and very fast they can aware of everything. So induction programs to be prepared in this way. Some documentation is also. So HR policy is also to be there. Should be aware of all these things. Rule and regulation, how much the hour of the overtime is there or not, safety, then your everything are to be defined. Social benefits and your the grievance procedures, if any problems, where he has to complain the things, or the grievance department, who is the nodal officers. So everything has to be defined. And what are the opportunities, the promotions scheme, transfer scheme, suggestion scheme. So everything are to be there, so that during the induction program, the employee can be trained enough so that you need not to ask further the questions to the seniors. The global placement is also important because the HR managers take up the global placement activity, which involves the managing international locations. As you can see, the expertise. So, skill and culture openness and adaptations, language skills, attitude should be understand the things because he is located to the other country, their culture. So that type of informations are required the employees before posting. That's why some of the companies they are introduced pre-training for before posting to the international postings, so that during the pre-training period they have to culturally everything they have to give a some awareness. So we will be posted in that environment. So before that, you have to prepare yourselves. So these some things are things. Language skills is also important because the local language you have to know it, and attitudes also. So and outplacing and phases of the downsizing and the limitations. Again, after that, employees has to deregulate it. Rehabilitations are required. You have to post it in another way. Training, retraining, and then skilled up, graduation. Everything are there are gradations. Everything are required. So this is the way. Some mobility is also important. Mobilities and your organizations important. Transfer scheme have to be fair enough, and their promotion, demotions, whatever the things that has to be cleared should be there. So basically, the idea is to retain the employees. If you know this is the future of this company, so definitely you will be there. So This is the purpose for these things. Before more to examine the employee's efficiency and to ensure the discipline. So this is the purpose of things. What are the advantages are there? The promotions that has to be discussed with the things. Before at the time of retirement also, what are the benefits that will be there? That has to be discussed there. Retirement benefit. The voluntary scheme should be there. If it is a layoff or some retrench, money package should be there. So everything will be defined like this. So okay, I think now thank you very much. Now we have covered the block 2. So you go for the next blocks next times. So okay, thank you. Thank you.